Imagine stepping into, well, almost a living time machine. A journey that sweeps you from Japan's ancient sacred heartland, where those revered deer roam freely, straight into the electric neon-lit hubs of modern youth culture. And then we dive deep into centuries of urban evolution, uncovering the hidden layers of this incredibly vibrant metropolis. It's really more than just travel. It's a deep dive into how places wrestle with their history, shape their present, sort of navigate what's coming next.
Exactly. Welcome, everyone, to our deep dive into two really dynamic Japanese spots, Nara and Osaka. We're drawing on quite a mix of sources today, cultural curriculum stuff, detailed historical overviews, some really interesting travel observations, too.
Okay.
And our mission really is to unpack how these places show that constant push and pull between deep tradition and cutting-edge trends. They're facing challenges we see everywhere, like over-tourism, rapid commercialization, all while trying to aim for a sustainable future. We want to explore the why behind what makes them unique, and maybe find some lessons that apply, well, anywhere.
Okay, let's start that journey then in Nara. It's a place where ancient history is really bumping up against some very modern challenges. Nara's foundational, isn't it? Japan's first permanent capital, Heijikus, set up way back in 710 AD. And what's really interesting, I think, is that its design wasn't entirely original. It was modeled on Xinjiang, the Tang dynasty capital in China. Can you unpack that a bit? Why was that choice so significant?
Yeah, that's a really key point. Choosing Xinjiang as a model wasn't just about, making it look good. It was a major political and cultural statement.
Okay.
The Tang dynasty was, well, a powerhouse. Advanced administration, culture, and Japan, which was still sort of figuring out its state structure, deliberately adopted these foreign systems. It really signaled an early kind of Japanese internationalism, a conscious move to absorb the best from abroad to, build up their own nation.
Makes sense. And Nara quickly became this golden age for Buddhism, right? We're talking massive structures like Tudaiji Temple.
Absolutely.
Most people know the huge bronze Buddha inside the Vairocana Buddha. It's, about 15 meters tall? Like a 5-story building?
Yeah.
And weighs hundreds of tons.
Yeah, roughly 500 tons. It's immense. And the original wooden hall around it, it was colossal. Once the biggest wooden building on the planet. Something like 48 meters high, 57 wide. Just vast.
But the scale wasn't just the building itself, was it? It was the effort involved.
No, exactly. What's truly staggering about building Tudaiji is the sheer national effort. Sources suggest it took around 2.6 million man-days of labor.
Wow.
Now, to put that in perspective, Japan's population then is estimated at maybe 4.5 to 5 million people.
So, like half the country.
Pretty much the equivalent of over half the entire population chipping in somehow to build this one temple. It wasn't just religious, it was a massive state project, a powerful way for early rulers to unify the country, using this collective effort to forge a shared identity. It's kind of an early example of soft power, really.
Fascinating. And, well, you can't discuss Nara without mentioning its most famous residents, the deer.
Oh, definitely not.
Over 1,000 wild deer just roaming Nara Park, interacting with visitors. They aren't just cute, though. In Shinto belief, they're considered messengers of the gods, right? Adds a whole other layer.
It does. But, these amazing historical sites and sacred traditions, they're facing some very real, very modern problems now.
Right.
Well, Nara, especially since tourism bounced back after the pandemic, is really struggling with the sheer number of visitors. You get congestion, environmental strain, and, real impacts on the lives of the people who actually live there.
And that brings up that tricky balance with the deer, doesn't it? Tourist engagement versus animal welfare.
It absolutely does. The deer situation is like a little case study for Nara's bigger challenges. During the pandemic, fewer people meant the deer went back to foraging more naturally. Right. Their health actually improved.
Interesting.
But now, tourism's back, the deer crackers are everywhere again, and you see that dependency creeping back in, sometimes even aggressive behavior when they're looking for food. It potentially messes with their natural ecology.
So how do you manage that? That's a tough one.
It really is. And it's not just the animals feeling the pressure. It's the actual heritage sites. Tudaiji, Kasukataisha Shrine, these UNESCO spots, they're literally getting worn down by all the foot traffic. That poses some serious long-term preservation questions. And for the locals, sure, tourism brings money in, but they also have to deal with the noise, the traffic, maybe feeling squeezed out of their own neighborhoods. It's this constant, difficult balancing act.
Yeah, you can see how that connects to those bigger global goals like the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
Definitely. Nara's struggle with over-tourism, Visitor numbers, straining resources, impacting local life, that's textbook SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities.
Right.
And the whole deer situation, the environment, that links directly to SDG 15, life on land, protecting ecosystems. It's all about finding a way for this incredible history and nature to thrive for future generations.
Okay, so from Nara's deep ancient roots and its modern balancing act, let's sort of leap forward in time and across prefectures to Osaka. Here we find a very different vibe, but still that fascinating dance between tradition and trend.
Yeah, a totally different energy.
We're heading to Americamura. It's this district that really shows the evolution of youth culture and, maybe surprisingly, a real push towards sustainability. Let's unpack how this place came to be.
Okay, Americamura, or Emamura, started back in the 70s, pretty gritty then. It was the place to go for imported American stuff, secondhand clothes, vinyl records, skateboarding gear. It drew in young people looking for something different.
Right, something outside the mainstream.
Exactly. And what's interesting is how it shifted from just being a place to buy stuff to becoming this vital spot for youth self-expression. Through the 90s, 2000s, it blended Japanese pop culture, that American street-style hip-hop.
But didn't it face challenges too, like commercialization?
Oh, absolutely. That period also saw the big fast fashion brands moving in, which definitely started to chip away at that original independent handmade kind of feel.
And how has it evolved more recently? What about Gen Z? Have they made their mark?
They really have. Since around the 2010s, Gen Z has kind of reshaped Emamura again. It's become a much more visible platform for social issues.
How so?
Well, you see it in the street art, on social media. Young people using the space to talk about things like environmental protection, gender equality. It's not just about fashion trends anymore. It's about making statements, using culture for advocacy.
And that environmental angle is really interesting. You mentioned sustainability. How does that play out in a place known for fashion and consumption?
Well, that strong secondhand clothing culture is key. It inherently promotes reuse, cuts down waste. It fits right in with global trends like slow fashion.
Okay.
And you see specific things too, like these clothing remake workshops popping up, teaching people how to upcycle old clothes, give them new life.
That's cool.
Yeah. And there's an annual Eco Street Festival. It encourages reducing plastic, greener consumption, using this token-based system, basically, a little circular economy model right there in the district.
And it's not just local efforts, right? You mentioned collaborations.
That's right. Local youth groups are actually partnering with international organizations like Greenpeace Japan on things like zero-waste fashion projects. They're sharing what they learn globally. So yeah, it's become this unexpected hub of green action right in the middle of urban Osaka.
But it can't all be smooth sailing. What are the pressures Emamura faces today?
Well, that commercialization issue hasn't gone away. There's always that tension between keeping its independent, maybe slightly edgy identity and becoming, too mainstream or corporate.
And what about the public spaces? Like Senkaku Park?
Right, Senkaku Park, Triangle Park. It's kind of the heart of Emamura. Really lively during the day, lots going on. But it has faced issues with safety concerns at night sometimes. It raises that classic urban question. How do you keep a space open and vibrant, but also safe and orderly?
Tricky balance.
It is. And then there's the economic pressure.
Ah, rising rents.
Exactly. Rents are going up. And that puts the squeeze on the smaller, independent secondhand shops, the places that really give Emamura its unique character. There's a risk that its special cultural mix could get watered down if those places can't afford to stay.
So connecting this back to the SDGs again, Emamura seems to hit quite a few.
For sure. Its whole secondhand reuse culture is clearly SDG 12, responsible consumption and production.
Makes sense.
How it functions is a dynamic public space, grappling with change while trying to keep its cultural identity. That's SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities. And even those circular economy efforts, reducing waste. That touches on SDG 13, climate action.
Okay, so from the buzzing, evolving present of Emamura, let's take another leap this time, deep into Osaka's past at the Osaka Museum of History.
Right, a fantastic museum.
Opened in 2001, and it has this really unusual design. The main exhibits run from the top floor, the 10th, down to the 7th. So you literally travel downwards through time, from ancient to modern Osaka. Feels a bit like a time tunnel.
It does, and its location is brilliant. It's right beside Osaka Castle, and crucially, it overlooks the actual ruins of the Naniwa Palace.
Oh, wow.
So you get these amazing panoramic views from the museum windows that directly link the exhibits inside the models, the artifacts with the modern city outside, and the historical layers underneath. It really connects past and present visually.
So you start at the top, 10th floor, Ancient Osaka, the Naniwa Palace. Tell us about that.
Yeah, this floor recreates scenes from the Naniwa Palace. This was a huge imperial residence back in the 7th century, built around 652 AD. It was one of Japan's earliest capitals, a really important gateway for interacting with China and Korea back then.
And wasn't there a story about its rediscovery?
Well, yeah, quite dramatic. It was largely forgotten, buried. Then after World War II, during reconstruction work near the castle, they accidentally dug up these massive bright red pillar bases.
No way.
Yeah. It basically forced historians to rewrite the history of Japan's ancient capitals. It was a huge discovery, revealing the scale of this early imperial center.
Incredible. Okay, so down to the 9th floor. Medieval and early modern Osaka, the nation's kitchen.
Exactly. This floor dives into Osaka's role as Japan's commercial heartland, especially during the Edo period. It was called the nation's kitchen because it was the main hub for collecting and distributing rice and other goods from all over Japan.
So bustling trade.
Absolutely. The exhibits show busy harbor scenes, warehouses, merchants moving goods, rice, soy sauce, cloth, you name it. It also highlights the flourishing of Bunraku puppet theater, which really took off in Osaka.
Right, the puppets.
Yeah, intricate puppets, dramatic stories. And the floor also touches on figures like Toyotomi Hideyoshi, the warlord who really built Osaka Castle and cemented the city's importance.
Okay, then the 8th floor sounds interesting archaeology in action.
It is. They've set it up to look like an active archaeological dig site. You can see real artifacts found at the Niwa Palace and nearby areas, pottery, roof tiles. But the really cool things are the makan.
Makan? What are those?
They're small wooden tablets. People in ancient times used them like memos or tags for administration, tax records, shipping labels, things like that. They wrote on them with ink.
Like ancient Post-it notes.
Sort of. And they give us these amazing direct glimpses into the daily life, the economy, the social structure of ancient Osaka. Really invaluable stuff.
Wow. Okay, finally, 7th floor. Modern Osaka.
Right. This covers Osaka's transformation during the Meiji, Taisho, and Showa periods, so late 19th century through much of the 20th. This was when Japan modernized rapidly.
The Manchester, the Orient era.
That's the one. Osaka became this huge industrial center, textiles, shipbuilding, all sorts of manufacturing. The exhibits show that boom, but also cover things like the city's reconstruction after World War II, and they have great footage from Expo 70.
Ugh, Expo 70. A big moment for Osaka.
Huge. It really signaled Osaka's post-war recovery and its reemergence onto the world stage, showcased its dynamism, its resilience.
And speaking of resilience and Osaka's identity, we should probably touch on Kuromon Market, shouldn't we? It's not in the museum, but it's such a part of Osaka's fabric.
Oh, definitely. Kuromon Market, the Black Gate Market. It started as a fish market maybe late 19th century near a temple called Enmyoji that had a black gate, hence the original name. It got its official Kuromon Ichiba name in 1902.
And it's been through a lot, hasn't it?
It really has. It was destroyed in a big fire, the Namba Fire of 1912, then rebuilt. Then it got hit badly in World War II air raids in 1945 and had to be rebuilt again. It got its modern covered arcade roof in 1970, kind of alongside that expo boom. And today, yeah, it's absolutely the kitchen of the nation. It serves locals, but it's also a massive draw for tourists wanting that authentic Osaka street food experience. It really embodies that resilient, commercial, food-loving spirit of Osaka.
So, going back to the museum itself, how does it really succeed in promoting historical education and cultural understanding, beyond just showing things?
Well, I think it makes history very tangible, very relatable. It's not just looking at things behind glass. They have interactive zones, especially for kids, where you can try on replica ancient costumes or handle Edo period tools. That kind of hands-on engagement really deepens understanding.
Right.
So that clearly connects to SDG 4. Quality education, making learning accessible and engaging. And by preserving and interpreting the city's history, its urban heritage, the museum strongly supports SDG 11, sustainable cities and communities. It ensures that Osaka's unique past is part of its living future.
So, reflecting on all this, what does it all really mean? We've gone from Nara's ancient traditions facing modern tourism pressures, to America Mira's youth culture driving sustainability, to the Osaka Museum's journey through centuries of city life. It seems like we've seen how places are in this constant state of, well, negotiation between their past, their present, and what's coming next. They're living things shaped by the people in them and shaping those people too.
Absolutely. And that really leads to a question for you listening in. When you encounter places like Nara or Osaka, places just packed with history but also buzzing with change, how can you engage? not just as a tourist passing through, but maybe as a more conscious participant in their story.
Yeah, how can your choices, your interactions, maybe contribute to that delicate balance they're trying to strike between tradition, innovation, and sustainability?
It's something to think about.
Definitely. Remember, every place has layers upon layers to its story. And often it's when you dive into those tensions and collaborations between culture, the environment, the economy, that you get the richest insights.
Well said. Keep exploring, keep asking questions, keep connecting those dots. Because the lessons from these specific places, Nara and Osaka, often turn out to be surprisingly universal.